Hey friends, welcome to the People Priority Podcast, where we dig into topics that help you show up as your best self for you and your circle of influence. I'm your host, Julie Schneers, a teacher turned speaker, team culture consultant, and leadership growth coach who loves people. Join me here every week for conversations that will motivate, educate, and hopefully just inspire you to grow through the power of communication, connection, and confidence. Because you and your people, you're worth it. Hey, today I'm going to talk about leading with gratitude. And I love this topic because it's simple, but I'm finding tons of interactions with people that could just benefit from leading with gratitude, including myself. So a beautiful reminder of how impactful it can be to step forward first with a heart of gratitude. Okay, but you know my style. There's always a link to self and a link to others. So we're going to talk about what gratitude can do for you personally, as well as what leading with gratitude for those in your circle of influence can do for others. So I want to start with you. I want to start with how important having a heart of gratitude is, and really, what does that mean? Because here are some tough realities that in my last week have hit me in the face over and over and over again. Tough stuff happens. You can't control the world around you. You can't control what other people do because hard people exist. Which tough stuff happens, hard people exist. Frustration and heart struggles are a people thing. There's going to be parts of your day, parts of your week, maybe even times of the year where you feel this heavier than normal. And for me, that has been recently. Interactions with some people who have had some tough stuff happen in their life, and it being taken out on the others around them has led to frustration being the forefront of conversations, frustration being the forefront of actions and decisions made that affect others. And it's made me step back and go, what can I do differently in this space? And man, what could it have looked like if we all have just showed up assuming the best intentions from others? When I speak, I have this little values quiz that helps us think through what kind of value we bring to our space. And on that quiz, there are questions that do not link at all to your workspace. They have nothing to do with your field or industry. They have everything to do with how you show up as a person. And one of those questions is, do I assume a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being terrible, 10 being I'm incredible at it? Do you assume that people are showing up and doing their best? Or are you the kind of person that just is like, well, he did that on purpose? Because that links to the kind of value you bring to your culture, to the people around you. And of course, there's other questions like how well you see stress, how well you deal with stress, how well you communicate, your kindness radar. Like there's all kinds of questions that link to just kind of the value you bring to every space. And I've said before, but I'll say again, you might be the best at your job, but you're a negative Nancy. And if I'm rating you on a scale, then you might have a really high, like your top 10, you're a rock star status for your job, but for your kindness or for your negative Nancy or for your ability to show up and assume everybody's doing their best, you're like a 2. You're going to have the same value number as someone who's brand new and still figuring out their job, but is the positive Patty in the office that everyone loves being around. And I say that example to remind us all that if you're really incredible at what you do, your value is not complete just on how you work. Your value as an individual and how you pour into those around you, and people wanting to be around you and having them in your business, or you being a chosen customer or a customer choosing you, links not just to how good you are at your job. Now, maybe if you're like a world-renowned neurosurgeon, okay, maybe then. Your bedside manner might stink and we might still be okay with it because it's really important surgery. But the reality is for most of us that in more times than not, we look at the value you bring as an individual. So when we're thinking about who you are and how you show up, you showing up as your best self with a heart of gratitude can change how people perceive you, which can, of course, have a beautiful domino effect that we're going to dig into today. But back to tough stuff happens. Hard people exist. Frustration and hard struggles are just real life because it's a people thing. You cannot control everybody around you. And in the situation that I've been dealing with the last week, I've had to say, you know what? I cannot control the situation around me. All I can control is how I show up. So what am I grateful for? And why is it important that I look at my gratefulness in tough situations? Okay. It improves your mental and physical health. Now, this is really cool. Practicing gratitude. There was a study done. They even used MRIs to evaluate what was happening in the brain. And what they found was that gratitude creates a positive impact on how we process emotions and memories. It also lowers depression rates. It decreases a heart rate that is racing. It decreases blood pressure when it's not great. It also decreases those stress hormones, those cortisol levels that we all can see benefit from when we're sitting in tough situations. When gratitude has that much of a positive effect on our bodies and our brains, why would we not want to implement that into our everyday life? Practicing gratitude has incredible mental and physical health benefits. So now you're asking yourself, what area of my life do I need to work on with gratitude in order to get these good results? And the truth is everywhere. Your gratitude can seep in at home. It can seep into the relationships that your friendships, your those special people in your life. It can also link to your acquaintances, like a neighbor. It can also help at home. So when you're thinking about, well, how do I show up more grateful? Let's talk about how. How do you show gratefulness? And let's start with, how do you want gratitude to come into your life? How do you want people to be grateful for you? How do you want people to show you gratitude? And let's flip that to the workspace first. So in the workspace, what would make you feel gratitude? For some of us, it is just words of affirmation. For some of us, it's a bonus at the end of the year. What makes you show up and go, man, those people are grateful for me. I can feel it. I'm going to show up better. And then maybe flip it to, how are you pushing that out in the circle of influence that you have in the workspace? And it might be those that you're responsible for because they are your employees. It might be just team members that you're supposed to check in on, not necessarily that you pay. It might be those that you serve on a board with. It might be, go ahead and flip it to your family, to your neighbors, to your friendships. But how do you want gratitude and how do you show gratitude? And I think that reflection is really, really important, because how you show up is going to directly impact gratitude, part number 2, others. Now, if gratitude has such a beautiful mental and physical benefit for you, imagine what it can do for others. Now, you can't make others have gratitude. And in the situation that I'm facing with this week, I can't make this person who was a frustrated, sitting in a tough situation, taking out their frustrations and heart struggles on those around them. I can't make them be grateful that they woke up with their health today. I can't make them be grateful that they have a family who wants to spend time with them. I can't make them be grateful for all the other beautiful things existing in their well-being. I can try to lead by example. I can show up as my best self. I can be at peace with me doing my best. I can try to keep showing gratitude, even when others don't completely appreciate it, in the hopes that at some point they see it, decide to try it, feel the benefits of it. But if you're sitting in a leadership position, leading with gratitude, appreciating those around you, pointing out the good, being thankful for the good, being kind in how you show up, that's going to bleed off into others and into culture around you. Number 3. So now you've got gratitude for self. You've got gratitude with others because they're watching you. They're taking notes on you because hopefully you're the kind of person that people are like, man, I want a little bit more of what she has or how she leads. I'm going to do as she does. And then that leads to a culture of gratitude. That leads to a culture of kindness. That domino effect is why leading with gratitude is so impactful.
Hey, I know you're listening to my voice on this podcast right now, but did you know I'm also a keynote speaker? From hospitals to real estate and everything in between, I work with all kinds of companies, schools, and organizations, pretty much wherever there's people. I would love to be your next workshop facilitator or keynote speaker. So find me on my website, Julie Schneers, that's JulieSchneers.com. And shoot me an email or find me on social. Let's connect so that we can chat more. All right, back to the episode.
Now, the before, the during, and the after is what I kind of want to diagnose next. Before I walk into this space, it is a frame of mind. So you have to start with you. You have to have a mindset of gratitude before you walk into work, before you walk into a tough conversation. Matter of fact, I was with a coaching client just last night, and I was walking through with her a tough conversation she's going to have today. And we talked about the best way for her to start this tough conversation with her employee. And of course, we talked about the before mindset. Before you get to the tough part of that conversation, what are you grateful for? What strengths are you able to highlight in that person so that they know you are grateful for what they do, so that when you get to the tough parts and the growth opportunities, they feel like you were already for them, which leads to one of my very favorite things that happened to me as a high schooler. And that was, and I just released a piece of a talk on my social media about this. Man, I am tall and I suck at sports. I tried out for sports. I didn't make the teams because I wasn't coordinated as a freshman, even though I was 5'10". So I felt like I didn't have anything going on for me because everybody assumed I was going to be this really great ball player, athlete. And it wasn't until someone else breathed life into me by holding up a mirror and showing me my strengths that I saw myself differently. And it was that shift in mindset because someone else held up that mirror of these are your strengths. Look at you go. That I was able to see myself in a new light and less like a failure and more like a beautiful success in a different realm. And I think in that video, I talked about the Albert Einstein quote where he talks about judging a fish by its ability to climb a tree. And I know we're talking about how you can showcase your strengths to your people or their strengths to their strengths to your people. But I also think that cross applies to gratitude. When you're able to show, I want you to see what I'm grateful for. I want you to see how great these things are going. That mirror that you're holding up of gratefulness, of thankfulness, of gratitude is a beautiful way to reframe, to rethink, and to redo a mindset that might have walked into a tough meeting with frustration and heart struggles. So the before, the shifting your mindset, that is really, really important for you and for your people. The during, if you're sitting in the tough stuff, when you are frustrated, how do you push that mindset? Well, that doesn't happen during if you've not been practicing before. If you are not putting gratefulness and gratitude and thankfulness into your everyday life, it's not going to be your go-to when you're frustrated. Your go-to is going to be to explode. Your go-to is going to be to assume the worst and then take it out on other people. And if you're seeing this in your space, the real challenge is, how can I put gratitude into my everyday life so that my go-to is not frustration? That my go-to is not the glass is half empty. Putting gratitude in your day every single day is going to help the during the frustration, the during the tough moments, the during the times when tough stuff happens. Because what did I start with? Tough stuff happens. Hard people exist. Frustration and heart struggles are just part of life and people. So in order for you to be your best self, you've got to, during the hardship, you've got to do something prior so that it leads a path of a yellow brick road to gratefulness. So the after, maybe you did great at it. Maybe you didn't in that tough situation or with that tough person. There's always beautiful in reflection. So after a tough situation, or after you're kind and grateful and thankful and you get stuck with somebody who's tough, how do you deal with the after? It sits in the reflection. It sits in, what could my next steps be? That is an important area of life in general, not just in those tough moments. And these are the beginnings of 2024. Reflecting on 2023 is probably something you did or are going to do now that I've jogged your memory. That's how we make better for tomorrow. That's how we create a better path moving forward, is to look back on where we came from and celebrate what went well, acknowledge what didn't go well, and plan next steps forward in a way that reframes with gratitude. I'm grateful for what I've learned because I can step forward differently. I am thankful for where I've come from because look how far I've come. I mean, there's just so many beautiful avenues when you're looking at gratitude in reflection. So after, look at reflection and next steps with the heart of gratitude. Because gratitude on every single level, whether it's personal, in dealing with your people, or trying to navigate your culture differently, is truly impactful and shaping. Tough stuff is going to happen. The glass half full versus half empty, that's a mindset. So the simple question today is, how can you lead with gratitude? Because gratitude is going to help you be stronger. And when I look at all the beautiful mental and physical health pieces that study shared can be improved with gratitude, I mean, less stress, less depression, lower blood pressure, those are really important things to a healthier you. And the study also showed that you live a longer, healthier, happier life. Wow. Gratitude's a big deal. We're looking in the world for medication. We're looking in the world for quick fixes. But the reality is, time spent on gratitude might actually be a significant key to your happiness and healthiness. So that leads me to, what are the 3 takeaways of this quick segment? They are, number 1, you can improve your own mental health and physical health just by having gratitude. Number 2, you can help others by leading with gratitude, lead their own lives with gratitude. That might mean that you have to keep showing up with gratitude even when they don't have gratitude. That might mean that you have to keep being the bigger person. That might mean that you have to just keep setting that example. But others will follow if you're a true leader. Or they'll get on the right bus, which might not be yours, and that's okay. And number 3 is if you are trying to shift culture, if you're trying to change the culture of your home, the culture of your workspace, the culture of the board that you're on, start with gratitude. Because gratitude is culture and heart and health changing. But lead by example. So the challenge this week is to make a list of those you plan to show gratitude to. We're going to put that straight into action that is grounded with good intentions and time you're carving out so that you actually can see results of it. I would say find a journal, a piece of paper, maybe notes on your phone, and make a list. Work, home, relationships. Those relationships can be acquaintances. They could be true friendships. Maybe it's a neighbor, right? But work, home, and relationships. Those 3 places. And I want you to find someone you plan on showing gratitude this week and how you're going to do that. Your how can be compliments. It can be that you buy a coffee. It can be that you give the bonus they deserved. It could be whatever your resources are and however big of a gratitude piece you want to share. But find a way to show gratitude in each of those 3 spaces to someone. And depending on how overwhelming this feels of a challenge, this might be something that you try to do every single day, just in a little bit. Because a little bit every single day would give you better results for the end of the week, just to see shifts. And it doesn't have to be big. It can be small. But you've got to start by making it a part of your everyday life. Because if you want success in the during the frustrating people and during the frustrating times, you've got to find gratefulness in the everyday and in your mindset so that you are automatically seeing the good and what you're grateful and thankful for over everything that's not great. Because we're going to be the glass half full kind of person if that's the mindset that we have. The quote that I want to share with you today is by Gordon B. Hinckley. Gratitude is the beginning of wisdom. Stated differently, true wisdom cannot be obtained unless it is built on a foundation of true humility and gratitude. I love that gratitude is the beginning of wisdom. Wow. If gratitude is the beginning of wisdom, how much wiser might we be if we walk through life with a heart of gratitude? I hope that you have a beautiful week. I hope you feel positive impact in how you process life just by putting a little more gratitude into your everyday. All right, see you next week.
Hey, thanks for listening and being my people. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, hook me up with a 5-star review. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to the People Priority Podcast so you don't miss out on more tips, tricks, and important reminders. I'll see you next week.